not completely, but to largely avoid everybody screaming at one another about Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. But that's the end of that, because here comes Matt Barrows. Matt Barrows, The Athletic. Let's scream about Brock Purdy and Trey Lance, okay?
Yeah, let's scream at each other.
Let's do it. What on earth are you talking about with Trey Lance's Alex Smith? Whatever do you mean, Matty?
Yeah, well, I guess I should have known that would be a bit of a trigger, and I can only imagine when did Twitter start up? Back in 2007. That's when I joined.
Yep.
But really, if Twitter was full bore during the Alex Smith era, I just cringe at what it would be like, because he was the number one overall pick. And everyone waited and waited and waited and waited on him, and it just took a long time for it to come around. And there are all sorts of reasons for that. This is a guy who went to hell and back, and that was even before he nearly lost his leg when he was with the Commanders. But that's the comparison. Is that both of these guys, high draft picks, all sorts of expectations, and there's a feeling like, okay, this guy is never going to get it. And the lesson with Smith is that he did. He needed stability around him, and he not only became a good quarterback, he became a very good quarterback. And I think that's what's going to happen with Trey Lance. Now, I don't suspect that that's going to be with the 49ers. At least that's not the way it's going right now. But I think that there are a lot of similarities between those two guys. Not only their circumstance, but who they are and how they process and all those things. I think it's a very good comparison.
Along those lines of it taking, longer than maybe Trey Lance's time with the 49ers, I guess I'll ask you this. Is the backup quarterback battle over for this season?
I don't think so. I know that it seems like it's over because everybody watched the Raiders game, and one guy was really good, really sharp, really competent. That's Sam Darnold, and the other guy was the opposite of all those things. That was a very stark contrast between Darnold and Lance in that game. It hasn't been as stark in the practices. I think that Darnold, if you had to, give the score, I'd say that Darnold is maybe slightly ahead, but it's close. And Darnold had a practice on, Thursday, where he was 1 of 7. Had guys open down the seam, missed him twice. To be fair, there were a couple of drops in there, but statistically, it was his worst practice of the summer. So he's not running away with it in the practices. And I can tell you from experience that if Trey Lance has an outstanding game on Saturday and leads the 49ers to a rousing comeback against the Denver Broncos, everything's going to be reversed. All the Trey backers are going to be coming right out of the woodwork, and it's going to be different. That's the way it is every week of the year during the regular season, and now apparently in the preseason as well.
Matty Barrows, The Athletic, all over the 49ers, with us on Willard and Dibs. JD in for Dibs, 95.7 The Game. Matt, you mentioned that things are trending toward Trey Lance's future, whatever it looks like, being on another roster. I don't think that shocks people, but I am interested to know the timing of your comment. Like, what are the chances Trey Lance is not on the 49ers this year?
I mean, the 49ers have been right out in the open and saying that they would consider any offers for anybody at any time. So if they got a good offer for Trey Lance, and what is that? Is that a third? I'm not sure what it is, but I think it would have to be something that makes them raise their eyebrow. And I just don't think that they're going to get it based on what we saw on Sunday in Las Vegas, based on all the reports coming out of camp. We're about to start the regular season. So it seems like if a team was going to make a decent offer, that it would come after this season, after the 49ers have paid his salary this season. A new team can get a full off season with Trey Lance, et cetera, et cetera. That seems to make the most sense. So that's what I think is going to happen. All sorts of different scenarios. And what if Brock Purdy got hurt in week 3 and Trey Lance did come in and he did play well, or started out okay and got better and better and better as the season went on? Then the scenario would be that Trey Lance stays. It was only a year ago at this time that everyone was certain that Jimmy Garoppolo would not be on the 49ers to start the season, and then he was. So all these things can have different outcomes than what we suspect. I do think, though, that the working theory or the best forecast is that he's traded early in the 2024 offseason.
Matt, what have you made of Brock Purdy's training camp to this point, and what do you think Kyle Shanahan wants to see from him if he does decide to play him and the other ones tomorrow?
Yeah, I don't know what exactly he wants to see. I think it's just a matter of, giving them the sort of the mechanics of being out there, getting into uniform, getting into the huddle, getting out of the huddle, working in front of a crowd. All those sort of practical things. I don't think he needs to see anything as far as arm strength or completing passes or anything like that. Maybe Brock Purdy takes 1 or 2 pass attempts out there. Like I said, I think it's more pragmatic that he's out there. But the phrase that's escaped Kyle Shanahan's lips a couple of times this week is, "I want to see guys let it rip." And he said that about Trey Lance, about the would-be interception that turned into a touchdown to Ross Dwelly, where Lance saw something and he let the ball go, and obviously the Raiders safety made a play on it, and we all know what happened next. He said the same thing about Brock Purdy, who's thrown a lot of picks in practices, and Shanahan was asked how he feels about that, and he says he wants to see his quarterbacks drop back and let it rip. So, I mean, that's what Lance was showing on that one drive in Las Vegas, but not on the first 3. And that's what he likes the most about Brock Purdy. There's an aggressiveness with the way he throws and the way he processes and all that stuff. And, essentially it mirrors what Shanahan wants, who Shanahan is. And Lance just hasn't found that consistency yet, whereas Brock Purdy has, and he showed that, from jump when he came in against the Dolphins last year.
Matty Barrows with us, The Athletic. Matt, I think it's going to be a big Sam Darnold week. This is kind of a prediction because I think that the whole dynamic of the quarterback discussion, the quote-unquote Trey Lance supporters certainly accept that Brock Purdy's the starter. However, I don't think they accept that he should be competing with someone who has proven himself to be less than stellar so far in the NFL. So here's my question. What have you learned from the 49ers in terms of how different they think Sam will look with them as opposed to how he's looked so far in his NFL career?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what I just said about Alex Smith and Trey Lance eventually getting it and becoming a good quarterback. I think the 49ers think that about Sam Darnold, too. Sam Darnold, a very high draft pick to the Jets, might start to, kind of show that promise that the Jets thought he had with another team, and that other team might be the 49ers. That's what the 49ers are betting on. They're betting on if he's got stability, if he's got talent around him, if he's got a running game, and that's something that they really picked up on with his last few starts in Carolina in 2022. When he's got that on his side, he can be a good quarterback. He can be an effective quarterback. So that's what I think that they see in him. I mentioned the letter rip quotes from Shanahan. I also mentioned the misses that Sam Darnold had in practice. those were down the field misses. Darnold was attacking the secondary with those throws. They did not connect, and that's a bad thing. But the mere fact that he was shooting for them, he recognized them. I think, if I had to guess, I think that makes Kyle Shanahan, Brian Griese, that whole group very happy with how he's reading it and how he's attacking. Obviously, he needs to, make good on those throws, but I would guess that they see that as a step in the right direction.
Matt, what's the latest on Nick Bosa? And I remember you may have even asked the question, but I remember John Lynch's answer about, well, when do you get concerned, or when do you need him to be here to feel like he's got enough lead up to be ready? And I believe John Lynch said about 3 weeks before the regular season. Well, that would be Sunday, the day after tomorrow, 3 weeks until the regular season opener. What's kind of going on with Bosa right now, if anything?
Yeah, nothing's going on, and that's a problem because you're starting to see, all these guys who hadn't signed with the team, Jadeveon Clowney, some of the other holdouts. This is the time where veterans who were reluctant to sign because they need to get ready for the season. And I do think that the 49ers don't believe that Bosa needs a long run-up, a long ramp, but he needs some. So I think that the agent knows this. They're obviously holding out for a better deal, and they're waiting for the pressure to mount, and that's why the 49ers have played this so cool, because they don't want to make it seem like they are freaking out over the fact that their best player, their MVP from last year, is not on the team. But pretty soon, it's going to be exposed that this is a problem, and we're getting really close to that. I think this is the week where the questions start to come, and they're going to have to make a decision. I guarantee you, they wish he was there right now. I mean, I've been writing that the big loser in all this is Colton McKivitz. Colton McKivitz went and played Max Crosby, and he played Chandler Jones in Las Vegas, and he didn't do so well. And it's because he's been going up against only okay defensive ends to this point in training camp. If he had Nick Bosa as a daily opponent, he'd be sharper now than he is, going into this game against the Broncos.
Hey, Matt, is Cam Latu going to make the team?
He is going to make the team. I wouldn't expect to. I'll put it this way: don't put him on your fantasy team right away. Don't take him in the first or the second round of your fantasy league.
It's funny. JD and I were talking about this earlier. I don't know if you want that many 49ers at all on your fantasy team. Like put McCaffrey aside. There's kind of too many mouths to feed, right?
Yeah, I think the same thing. My question is, do you put Jake Moody on your team? Like that's the one sort of sneaky pick who end up at the top of the kicker ranking, but he also could become a rookie kicker. I mean, there's this kid in Cleveland that the Browns took in the 4th round last year. He can't make a kick to save himself now. Right. I don't think that's going to happen with Moody, but rookie kickers, you just never know. It's a big risk.
I don't you think if you were making a list, and maybe you are doing this article, things to watch tomorrow night, like move past the quarterback stuff, isn't Jake Moody the next thing?
Yeah, Jake Moody is the next thing. Colton McKivitz is a thing. Their nickel situation is a thing. Their backup tackle situation. These are all sort of the I don't want to say weak points, but the interesting issues, I think, going into this the second preseason game.
Matt, great stuff as always, man. Thank you so much for doing it.
All right, no problem, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
There he goes. It's Matty Barrows as we get ready for Sam Darnold night.